Hello, everyone. I'm Tina Van Leuven, your practical joy alchemist and your host for the Joy Evolution Summit, where we have the pleasure of spending sacred time with the most delightful joy beacons from around the world. And today I am really looking forward to our juicy conversation with our beautiful Carolyn McGee, who's a master intuitive teacher, coach, and healer. And she is known as the angel, animal, and intuition oracle. She specializes in amplifying your intuitive superpower to listen to, trust, and follow your soul's path to live the most joyful, healthy, connected, abundant, and purposeful life. Her step-by-step process, the Soul Clarity System, clearly connects you to your divine purpose, removes blocks that keep you from implementing your divine guidance and getting results in every area of life. She has co-authored 6 best-selling books, is a popular TV co-host, and sought-after speaker and blogger. She has taught thousands of professional, corporate, and entrepreneurial women to trust themselves and their intuition, to tap into authentic power and strength. Today, we're going to be talking about Carolyn's journey to joy, as well as how joy amplifies your divine receiving and action. So welcome, Carolyn. I'm so delighted to be here with you.
I am so honored to be here and really excited to talk about this topic. My path to joy is all the way through my intuition, and that is just such an integral part of my life. And I could talk for hours. I know we don't have hours, but it lights me up, right? Isn't that joy? You feel like you've been lit up inside out, and you just radiate happiness.
Yeah, so beautiful. So I'd love for you to share a bit with our audience what your journey to joy has been like. We're talking specifically about really what happened along your journey that took the knowing about joy into really taking it into the body and embodying it.
Yeah, that is a beautiful question. So for me, it was losing joy. I grew up in a situation where my intuition and my divine ability to connect was kind of trained out of me. It was, follow society, look outside for validation. And I found as I moved through life and did all the right things, went to a technical school so that I could, get a good job, uh, get married. I found myself less and less connected to myself and less joyful. And it was going through the process of remembering who I am, remembering who I am at soul level, that I rediscovered my joy. I remembered how I loved animals. I remembered how connected I was when just laying out on the grass and seeing the clouds shape into different messages. And I remembered, talking to trees and loving the feeling of the earth and growing things. It was like this, it truly is as a remembrance. It's a reawakening of all of that energy that I didn't hold on to. I let it go.
So what happened along the way that losing all that joy that you found it again, and how did this embodiment process happen for you?
That is a great question. For me, I had an epiphany when Princess Diana passed. She was just coming back into her own, and she was joyful, and you could see the change in her energy and how she presented herself. And when she died, I realized at a very deep soul level, life is so short. You just don't know. There's no guarantees on you're going to have it tomorrow. And her children are a little bit older than mine, but I had young kids, and I looked at them and I thought, what am I modeling to them? What am I teaching them? And in that moment, I made a pledge to my kids, and I made a pledge to myself, and I made a pledge to Princess Diana that I was going to live fully in my joy and fully in who I am and be authentic. And it didn't matter what it was. If it wasn't right for me, I wasn't going to do it. And it's been an interesting rocky road a few times along the way, because people don't like when you change.
Yeah, it's true, huh? Yeah.
They don't. And unfortunately, my marriage didn't survive. But my kids are so much healthier. My children have two healthy parents now instead of one person kind of leading the whole interaction. And, we all laugh and we get along, and it's just so much healthier.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So some people experience being connected with their joy all along and never losing that connection. Others have it and lose it, and others think they never had it and then discover it. So it's always so interesting,
Yeah, and it truly, for me, it really was a remembering, because when I got to that point, I could look back and remember so many childlike, wondrous moments of, just unconditional joy and feeling connected. As I said before, it's just it's such a beautiful cycle when we allow ourselves to remember.
Yeah, so I'd love to know a little bit more about this journey as far as connecting in with the angels and connecting in with the animals. How did that come about?
Well, a lot of my major shifts seem to come around relationship changes. They're like a catalyst for me. And the majority of my deep personal relationships have been what I call soulmate relationships. I don't believe we just have one soulmate. I think that we have lots and lots of teachers who are here to awaken us, help on our spiritual path. And a number of years ago, I had a relationship with a person we had a deep connection. And I realized that I was not being authentic to myself. I was starting to get into that old pattern of taking care of somebody else and losing my joy. So I had to end the relationship. And I literally felt like part of me died when I did that. But that death, so to speak, allowed me to open up in a brand new way. All of a sudden, I was committed again to, what brings me joy? What do I want to do? What are these voices I'm hearing in my head? And what do they mean? And what is this really deep sensation that I have in my stomach, and what does it mean? Why does my cheek flush when I ask myself a question? I'm really curious, and I think I mentioned before, I'm highly logical and I have a technical background, so I wanted to really understand it. So I started diving into, Eckhart Tolle and Louise Hay, and a little bit of Doreen Virtue, and then I found a local person who taught angel communication, and it was just, my world blew open again.
Love how that happens, huh? Yeah.
Cover off of Pandora's box. It's such a beautiful thing. It really is. And I've just kept digging deeper and deeper, because that's what I like to do. I like to know why. I want to know why I feel this way. I want to know why I feel a certain other way when I don't do something. And the patterning. And, I actually went on to become a life coach with this organization, because as I healed myself and realized my pattern and broke some of those old standing things, I need to do this for other people.
Beautiful. Yeah. And Carolyn, what are some of the things that really zap your joy?
Oh, lima beans. It sounds like it's a really things, but yeah, and really cold weather also. I do live in the Northeast, so I live through the winter here, but really cold weather, extended periods of darkness. Like as the seasons start to slow down, I find that I really need to travel someplace to get a little dose of sunshine and bring my energy back up. Not being able to get grounded is another thing. I have taught myself, or remembered, as I like to say, animals really ground me. So I have a number of animals. I also have a pet care company. So I work with the animals on a regular basis, and they help me bring that joy back when I feel some of that heaviness coming around me. Politics, sometimes I don't tend to get too involved in that. I'm aware, but I don't tend to, nurture it like some people do, because that can bring my energy down too.
Yeah. And so what really sparks your joy?
Well, we already talked about my animals, but they are worth another conversation.
Sure are.
And, in addition to that is, really feeling my own energy, knowing that it's authentic, reaching out and supporting people, helping them, whether it's holding a door for somebody at the grocery store, or I know a friend is struggling a little bit and I have the ability to help her. Helping somebody take their dog for a walk if they need to. It's the simple things that they don't really cost me anything other than a little bit of my time, but it brings me joy to provide joy to other people.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and our furry friends, sure, all our animal companions really have such an amazing way of just really reconnecting us, reminding us of how loved we are too, huh?
Yeah, they do. And, they're great at grounding our energy. And, they're fabulous teachers too. They're very, very good at, especially once you open your heart to them, they're going to make sure that you know when you're on your path and when you're kind of deviating a little bit.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, so, with everything that you've experienced along the way, if you look back at a challenging time in your life, is there a particular time where you wish that you would have known or experienced or received more joy?
Yes, absolutely. This goes back to my early childhood. My father was in a really bad accident, and we were in a different state, living in a different state than most of my mom's family at that point in time. And even though I went back and lived with my grandparents, and I had cousins that were living there, so there was people that I knew and loved. And it's actually my sacred space is this home. So it was a very safe place for me to be. But everybody was so worried and overwhelmed that I wish we could have focused, or somebody could have focused a little bit more on, you're still a little kid. Let's color, or let's go for a walk, or, rather than the constant anxiety over what is going on or could be going on. And, it was an extended period of time. It was almost 6 months before my dad was well enough to leave the hospital. So it was a very intense time. And I think that was foundational in me making some not so supportive decisions in being in joy. Kind of almost like becoming familiar with stress and anxiety instead of radiating with joy.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because I was going to say, do you find that many people, you're talking about connecting in with that wonder earlier on, wonder of that child. How many of us have experienced situations in our early days where, whoa, that got cut off, or you had to kind of retreat to connect into that space? And as you say, whatever is going on in your environment around you, if there is so much stress and anxiety, that's what your body, your energy field gets used to.
You do. And, as a small child too, I think we just roll with it and we don't even realize the impact of it. It wasn't until many, many years later that I realized, okay, that was a big thing. And yes, it was a big thing because my father was very ill. My mother was staying with him. But for me, energetically, it was a closing down and compartmentalizing of what I could do, what I couldn't do, how I needed to act in order to get attention. It was a life-altering moment. And I think there's so many other people that don't realize those pivotal moments in their life until they kind of get to the other side and they can look back and say, oh yeah, that's when that started.
Yeah.
Consciously work on letting it go.
Yeah. Which is where those relationships come in really handy. Right?
You have to have to look for the silver lining in every single thing.
Exactly. Yeah, beautiful. So thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure that many in our audience can relate to that, and the thing I think it's important what you said was that sometimes you don't realize how impactful a situation was, because oftentimes people say, well, I haven't had any trauma, and
Right.
associate trauma with being something really dramatic. But having an experience where you are not receiving the love or the attention or the care that you needed to a child is
Yeah.
traumatic.
It is traumatic. And I think as adults, we can get into the rationalization of it because it was certainly very valid what they were doing,
Mm.
but you don't understand. And, it's so easy to say, oh, well, they did the best they could. And the answer is yes, they absolutely did, but it still had an impact. And once people can open up and see that, then it allows the joy to come back, surface, get more to that place where you can actually feel it in your skin and it's not hiding anymore.
Yeah, beautiful. So, talking about joy amplifying your divine receiving and action, I think receiving and action are big themes throughout the conversations that we've been experiencing here. So, I'd love for you to share what this looks like for you.
At the center of it all is, our soul. And really being clear about why we're here, what our divine action is, and understanding that we have these two powerful impulses. We've got the divine feminine and the divine masculine. The divine feminine is the part of our soul that wants to receive, that wants to nurture, that wants to support. The divine masculine is that part of our soul that wants to produce, it wants to go out in the world and, keep track of things and take action and make stuff happen. And being able to center through our body, through our soul, and really connect into it. And the way I believe we connect into our souls is through our intuition. It's our intuition that speaks out from our soul into our heart, into our physical body. So once we do that, then we know when we need to be in receiving time. And we know when we need to be in the producing or the action time. And we can start to understand our body's energy more too. There's certain times of the day that I need to nurture myself more and I'm more creative. And then there's other times of the day that, man, I can take that to-do list and just cross stuff off.
Yeah.
But if I start doing that, crossing stuff off when I'm in that other energy, it can take me 2 to 3 times as long.
It's so funny because we've been so programmed and conditioned that you have to be on doing. As long as you are doing something, you appear busy, and if you're busy, then you're being productive, and if you're productive, then you're being a contribution in this world, and thereby suggesting that when you're being, that you're not being a contribution. Yeah, what a distortion, huh?
So crazy because, by being, you're in that creative flow, and the creative flow brings joy. And when you've got joy, then you've got passion to take the action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you share with us maybe one or two of your favorite ways to bring that back into balance so that our audience here maybe practice that? Because for many saying intuition, it's I feel it's something that we have to learn to trust again. And for many, that's a big thing. So what are some ways to maybe learn to trust that intuition so that you can really connect in with that masculine, feminine energy, know when it's time to receive and when it's time to take action?
Yes. So one of my favorites is actually very simple and common, but I love breath work. I breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. I like to imagine that I'm breathing all the way down into my hips. Having my feet on the ground and just imagine the breath coming all the way down. So it's literally opening up all of my chakras. And then imagine it coming out also. So, just 3 times can allow me to really open up and clear the energy through my heart. For me, my heart is my most intuitive muscle. And I oftentimes, I've done this a few times as we've been talking, I'll put my hands on my heart and I can feel it.
Mm.
Sometimes I wait to feel the heartbeat in my chest. And then I ask, for what is the truth? And as I'm feeling the energy in my body and in my heart, it expands when it's truth. It expands when it's right. It expands when it's joy.
Mm.
It's not, when it's either not good for me, or maybe it's not the right path for me to take right now. It's almost as if I'm being pushed away. My body is being repelled by it. And, that's the simplest way for me to be able to validate what is going on with me. And, I've got a cute little body trick that I learned many years ago. I mentioned I used to get these weird sensations in my face. And if it's a yes, my right side feels like I've almost got like a little sinus thing going on. And if it's a no, my left does that. And I realized that when I started on this healing journey, as I was doing other types of muscle testing, and I actually started playing with dowsing rods, things, again, searching a little bit outside of me instead of inside of me. And I realized that, and it's easy for me to kind of drop down in and say, okay, am I centered? Yes, I am.
Mm.
Do I need to ground myself more before I make a decision? And sometimes it's a yes, and sometimes it's a no. But being, having that awareness of how my physical body reacts to information has been really powerful for me, and allows me to take that inspired action and move into whatever that, divine download I've received.
Yeah, I love that. It's so powerful. 'Cause I think the interesting thing is we've been, we're having these conversations and talking about embodying joy. In order to be able to really embody, live as that joy, it has to fully be in the body. That means you have to connect in with your body. And how many people,
Yeah, you do.
myself, yeah.
And everybody's got their own signals. It's a matter of remembering what they are, or awareness to what they are. Like I said, I had those crazy little dowsing rods, and then I realized every time it said yes, I had this reaction. And once you realize what your own body signals are, it's so much fun.
Yeah. Body wisdom. And I remember hearing somebody say one time, this is partially why, the body doesn't lie, which is why these lie detectors are used, right? Because you can't override.
Yeah.
You learn to
Yeah,
really trust that.
can't lie. Your heart can't lie. Your ego can do the, story part of your heart, but your true heart, the muscle, the intuitive wisdom that lives in your heart chakra, it can't lie.
Beautiful. So I invite our audience to just feel into anything that may have sparked something for you, maybe helps you remember something, or sometimes you'll hear the same thing being shared a gazillion times, and maybe you heard Carolyn say it in a way that really you had one of these bing body remembrance happening. If that's happened, and maybe take one of these practices into your everyday life, and come and join us if you haven't already in our private Facebook group, where we're hosting the Practical Joy Experiment. Because one of the things, I'm so excited about this, it's one of the it's like, we receive so much amazing inspiration from everyone, including what Carolyn has shared here with us today. And receiving that information is awesome. But as she was saying, there's a time to receive and a time to act. You want to be able to see, what are some of these things, tips that you may have picked up, maybe some joy sparkers, maybe some of the practices, and we'll talk about Carolyn has a beautiful gift as well. Maybe that can be something you choose to play with, but take that into an area of your life where you would really like to turn up the joy dial a bit and apply it, play with it, start embodying it, and start noticing how that is creating change in your life. And having the support of the community is really powerful. So I invite you all to come and participate there. So Carolyn, do tell us a bit. We have so much more that we can talk about. My goodness. Yeah. But I'd love for you to share a little bit about, you've got a beautiful gift, which is called Unleash Your Intuitive Superpowers with the gift of soul clarity. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Sure. So as I mentioned, your soul is your guidance system, and I believe the path is through, or I found both actually, that the path to your soul is through your intuition. So I have a three-part gift. It is a beautiful meditation to help you clear away whatever nigglies, those little blocks. Will start to clear away what's in the way of you trusting your intuition. And then I have a daily checklist. This is something that I actually use myself on, am I trusting my intuition? Am I paying attention to what's in my way?
Mm.
Then I have a journaling workbook that everybody will get. And it's got 17 questions in it, and it's just for information. It kind of sparks your interest, and it's something that you can do multiple times if you want to kind of layer down in on where you are in your journey of connecting with your intuition, which then opens up your soul path. And I truly believe that our souls want us to be in joy. They want us to experience love. They want us to revel in our divinity. So by trusting our intuition, we embody joy.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. The link is below the video, so make sure you take advantage of this beautiful gift. And especially, I think that one of the key things for taking on whichever practice, that it's exactly that, it's practice. And the more that you do it, the more that it becomes a part of you, and the easier it will become. And even if, I feel like if anyone has been on this path for a while and has experienced lots of different healing modalities and done lots of different things, there are always other ways to receive information that may spark a different remembrance that can take you to a whole different level. So,
absolutely.
Beautiful. Wow. So is there anything else that you would love to share with our audience here?
That you are a child of God, that or greater spirit, whatever your languaging is with that, and that we are all so supported. The universe truly does have our back. I also like to say that the universe is conspiring in my favor. And I feel that, and to remember that we all have angels, and angels were sent here to support humans. So ask for help. There is nothing too big or too small to reach out for divine support. And you reach out to your animal friends, whether you own them or you see them out in nature. What are the messages that they have for you? And how can you integrate all of that into your heart and just expand?
Beautiful.
I love the image of the Grinch when they say his small heart expanded, I don't know how many times that day. And that's what I like to imagine for myself. Every time I'm joyful, every time I make a new connection, every time I remember a little bit more, that my heart and my joy and my ability to make a difference in the world just expands out there.
Yeah, beautiful. And I have one last little question here. When you feel into the energy of joy, and maybe even feeling into the field of everybody who is coming to play with us here in this beautiful joy evolution, are there any angels in particular that are coming forth to support this group energy of bringing greater joy into everyone's life? I'm getting goosebumps.
Before you even finish the question, Archangel Jophiel showed up immediately, and she is also known as the Archangel of Beauty. For me, beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder. So it's, what do you find beautiful? What enhances your life? Because that's really what true beauty is. It's something that you bring into your physical body, and it makes you expand. It makes you smile. It makes you feel joyful. And he is here to help everybody and to really step into that. And I will post a picture of her, just from one of my many oracle texts. And then you can get an idea of the energy of her. She typically will show up with a very beautiful pink energy.
Beautiful.
Yeah, she's a very powerful, and she's one of the angels or archangels that show up as the divine feminine. You know, oftentimes, like Archangel Michael is a divine masculine energy and presentation, but Archangel Jophiel shows up as a beautiful divine feminine representation. So, yes, so she is with us now.
Yeah, it's so funny because at the beginning of the year, or at the end of the year, I do an oracle spread, and working with, well, lots of different decks and influences anyway to spread for the year. And this, for the launching of our Joy Evolution Summit, it's peridot, one of the crystals, which is the bringer of joy. And Jophiel is there too. And it's like, for me, Jophiel always makes me smile because it reminds me of jovial, you know, as in happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, well, thank you so much, Carolyn, for sharing your beautiful light, your wisdom, your joy here with us. And I so look forward to, I'm sure we're going to have many more things to talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and again, invite everyone who's watching, if you're enjoying this conversation, then please invite your friends to come and join us too. You know, the more that each of us allow ourselves to receive what enhances our joy, the more we ripple that out into the world. So what an amazing co-creative experience this can be. And yeah, until we meet again, many joyful blessings, and go forth and let joy be your guide to a life that is worth waking up for every day.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.